This is Miss Lizzie, and I want to welcome you to the Queen Lizzie podcast. Together, we will go through the history of Rosewood, Florida, and watch as the once prosperous town rises out of the bloodshed, fire, and ash to reveal the people, the memory, and the legacy of Rosewood. Watch every Thursday on Facebook and YouTube, or listen to our story on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Hello, everybody. I am Lizzie Robinson Jenkins, representing not only the Rosewood Foundation, but the personal testimonies and history of cherished friends and family. You are now watching the Queen Lizzie podcast. Good afternoon and welcome to the Queen Lizzie podcast, brought to you from, I'm naming my talking piece, the conversation piece, and that is PEACE, because I am seeking peace, justification, healing, and reconciliation for Rosewood. So, I am also the conversation piece, EACE. Thank you very much for watching my podcast show today. This is my Rosewood story that I am going to share with you today, and it is from my experience of 30 years of research. So what I'm talking to you about today will be pieces and bits of my research, not in order, but as I have met different people on different stages and at different times. I started this research 30 years ago at the Levy County Courthouse in Brunson, Florida. Brunson, Florida is approximately 50 miles from Gainesville, Florida. Gainesville, Florida, the home of the Gators, University of Florida Gators. So I have been doing this research, and it has not been easy. It has been very difficult, challenging, I should say. I have met so many people, and when I say so many people, people from all different walks of life, different nationalities. Out of 100%, I can say that 98% of the people that I have made contact with, black or white, have been very, very supportive of what I do. And I know the reason they are supportive. They know I'm doing the research. They know I'm telling the truth. They know I'm not attacking anyone. They know and believe that this history should be preserved as well as I do. My mother is my historian. She said to me, babe, I want you to research this history, this Rosewood history, keep it alive. But you must research, authenticate, and tell the truth. And the reason she wanted me to tell the truth because her sister was a Rosewood school teacher. She was attacked. She survived. She told my mom her story, and mom told it to me. You must keep the Rosewood history alive. When I say she was the teacher, she was the Rosewood school teacher from 1915 to 1923. And it has been a challenge. Did I tell my mom, okay, Mom, I will do it. I'm happy to do it. No. I said, Mom, I can't do it. It's too painful. It hurts. This would be, it would take too much time from my personal agenda as I continue my life. I was married. I had a husband. But she said, Mom, if Mom was younger, Mom would do it. You all know what I wanted to say to Mom? Do it. I didn't want to do it. It was so painful. So I was angry. You were angry with your mother, Liz? Of course I was. However, she never knew I was angry, but I did express to her I did not want to. But once I got started, In 1993, my first experience was April 28, 1993, at the Brunson Levy County Courthouse in the basement on second floor. I was sitting there sitting around the table with paperwork, documents on my table, doing my research, and in walked about 8 to 10 men in camouflage pants. My heart dropped because I reflected quickly on what my mom had told me happened to her sister, and I just saw my life wash away. I didn't look up. I continued to work with my head down, but I saw everything they did. Well, they didn't do anything but circle the table. They came in to intimidate me. Was I intimidated? Yes. Did they know it? No, because I did not make eye contact with them to let them know I was scared to death. So they left. And 30 minutes later, I decided to collect my paperwork, go to the cashier, and pay for it. When I say paperwork, the copies that I had made. And I went to pay for it. When I got to the cashier, she said, "Ma'am, I need your name. What's your name?" I said, "Elizabeth Pintercheddar." She could spell the Elizabeth. She said, "Will you spell that Pintercheddar for me?" I said, Penchatta. I spelled it so fast, she said, "Will you spell it again?" Because of fear and not telling the truth, when I spelled it the second time, I spelled it differently. And she kind of gave me that smile. "I know you're lying." It wasn't my name. I didn't know if the people that had encircled my room were going to come back and try to find out my real name. But I left, not with a smile, but I left and I went home to tell my mother my story, my experience. And I said to her, my husband was there listening to, "Mom, I can't go back. This is what happened to me today. You know what I just told you. I cannot go back and do this." She said, "Okay, sit down, relax a few days, and then go back and finish my story." You know, I thought she was absolutely crazy. Finish your story? My life in jeopardy, I thought. Probably was, I don't know. She said, "Sure. If Mama was younger, Mama would do it." And again, I wanted to say, "Mom, do it." She said, "You got the education. You're educated." And she was really depending on me, and I knew that. I could feel it. As much as I didn't want to do it, I just felt obligated to do it. Here I am, 30 plus years later, and I'm still working, researching Rosewood. And I'm pleased that I have done it. I'm pleased that I conquered. Don't know if I conquered it. I'm pleased that I made an effort, okay, to help resolve the situation. And I know she died in transition in 1999, and I know today she is smiling on me. She's smiling because of the work that I have done. She's smiling because Zach is over here producing this podcast as I speak. Thank you, Zach. She's also smiling at you, Dylan. Dylan is new today. He is an intern. So thank you, Dylan. Nice to meet you. So I'm working for the future generations. This is not my history. This is not your history. It is America's history. You didn't create this ugly history. I didn't create this ugly history, but it's history. And history is who we are. We don't want to repeat it. So one way to make us aware of the ugliness of it is to keep telling it, keep talking about it, and let you know that we are not pleased with it. My board is very diverse, and you can find me and my board members at www.rosewoodflorida.com. Register as a member. After you register as a member, you may want to become a member. So we do have a membership registration on the website. Okay? We need people to know about our ugly history in Florida. We're not blaming you for it, but we don't want it to happen again. And you're the only people, the only audience, okay, to make sure this does not repeat. And doing my research early on, I met this lady that worked at the office in Brunson. I can't remember the office it is called, but she worked there. And she started to help me. She said, I'll help you, because she knew what I was facing. She knew this, and she was in the rear. When I said she was in the rear, she worked, and she probably knew about the chit chat at night. So she was fired in 1993. Just outright fired, because she was helping me pull these musky old files and doing research to authenticate Rosewood history. So she was without a job. They fired her from the job, but they didn't fire her from my life. Today, we are good friends. I was in Myrtle Beach this weekend, and I called her, or she called me, and I called her back, and we talked about our life together. She and I are good friends, and I know you're wondering right now as we speak, well, is she black or white? That's not important. She's my friend. She helped me get started with my research, and I appreciate her. We will forever be friends. As I speak, she is the chairperson of the Brunson Historical Society. I know you figured it out now. But anyway, she has been there for me, and I appreciate that. And other people that helped me along the way, I remember one night I was speaking at the Civic Media Center in 1994-ish. And I was talking about John Wright, the store merchant. And I never talked about the people negatively. And a young white girl raised her hand, college student, and said, Mrs. Jenkins? I said, yes. She said, John Wright was my great uncle. I stopped that conversation, and you better not leave here. I said to her, you better not leave here tonight before we talk. We talked, we exchanged contact information, and she has been very helpful. And I'm going to say her name. Her name is Abby Elsie. When she said Abby Elsie, I knew then she was very connected, because Elsie is a little town next to Rosewood. So I knew she knew some Rosewood stories. So she never gave me any of the stories, because I never wanted her story. But she did give me information to help me get from point A to the next step of doing my research. I met her entire family. Her great-grandmother passed at age 99, I believe. I went to the funeral service. I made all of the people that I met in Rosewood, Elsie, Sumner, Wiley, they became part of Rosewood. They respected me then. They still respect me, because I did not go in to do damage. I went in only to get history. I remember going, the first time I went to the United Methodist Church, I was greeted and met at the door very politely, and I signed my autograph. And I knew then they wanted my signature and my name, because they wanted to know who I was, what I was doing. They even extended an invitation to me to introduce myself, and I did. I'm Lizzie Robinson Jenkins. I am the founder of and president of the Real Rosewood Foundation. I am doing research in your area to report the truth. I need your help. Okay? They were very, very polite. The minister, preacher, pastor, rector, whomever we called him or know him as, very genuinely supportive. If they weren't, they did a good job of hiding it. Many of the people there are not Levy County natives. Some of them have moved there, And people want to know the truth. And I am really great in giving you my truth, my work, the definition of being. I think I'm an honorable person, honest, okay, tell my truth. And I don't always talk about what or who caused the Rosewood massacre because you already know. I don't need to repeat that every time. We need to heal, okay? We need a conversation, peace, and that's what I am bringing you. That's about time for our first half. We're going to head to a quick break, and we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't: our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured,
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
and our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
I am Black History.
I am Rosewood Black History.
I am Florida and America's Black History.
And you are too.
January 1st, 1923, the KKK insurrectionists attacked Rosewood, killing 5, burning it down.
Because a white woman lied and cried, a black man assaulted me. Rosewood redevelopment is on its way.
Want to help? Visit rosewoodflorida.com.
Welcome back to Queen Lizzie Podcast, brought to you weekly from the Steve Spurrier Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. The Queen Lizzie Podcast is brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union, live from the Meldon Law Gator Studios at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Special thanks to Greg Bradley, Allstate Insurance. Okay, I'm going to follow up with last week. I left off telling you about the real history of Rosewood and also about a song that I put together with my mom. My mom wrote the lyrics for, and I'm going to sing a couple of verses of that again this week because I don't want you to lose interest in the history and especially the song, because I plan to market that song to make some money to raise funds for Rosewood. But one special person I told you about last week, and I'm going to retell you again so that you will know that Charles Jacobs was the real founder of Rosewood. And his research has told me that in 1855, Rosewood was founded. Now, this is my research. I don't want anybody out there who is trying to write a book, okay, to put this research in your book if you don't have the supporting evidence to prove it. So it says 1885, the population of Rosewood was 50, and I believe that. And he also listed in his research about 3 to 4 or 5, maybe, black people that were business owners during that time. And again, if you don't know who the black folks are, don't list their names. Don't guesswork. Don't disrespect them in my research if you don't know. Okay, and there were vegetable crops, farmers, okay, sawmill workers, and other entrepreneurs. And as I told you last week, I went over all of this. If you need to go back and review my podcast from last week, which is podcast 40, I believe, you have my permission to do it. But that is information is not for your book. That's my book information. And I just want you all to know, as I said to you, that the people that I meet and I have met, they have been very, very, very supportive. And I did an interview with a cousin of mine. I talked about Elsie. Elsie is next door to Otter Creek. Otter Creek I had a couple of three cousins living there, the Strongs, okay? And one day I found Henry Strong. Henry Strong was my cousin. He was the mayor of Otter Creek 10, 15 years ago, and I met him. And he said, you know, I got a brother who is blind now, but he remembers everything about Rosewood. So I called his brother, A.C. Strong, and did an interview with him. And the good thing I want you all to know, and I often express this, that everybody's not bad. And I need to say all white people, and I'm saying that for a reason, are not bad. Because when the mob came through, the KKK mob came through Otter Creek on their way to Rosewood/Sumner, they paused to look for black folks that lived in Otter Creek. And I understand the whites that lived in Otter Creek said to them, you better get the hell out of here. You are not going to bother our people. We probably know what they said, but that's okay. They protected the blacks of Otter Creek. Why? Because, as my cousin A.C. Strong said, when they came from the southern states, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, they brought the Strongs with them. So they felt obligated to protect them. And I want you all to know that's the way we used to live, and we got along, and it was different. It was strange. It was not equal, but we survived in spite of. The Strongs ended up owning the first black school. They were founders of the first black school in Otter Creek. How do you know, Lizzie? I've been there, done that. I went to the school, and near the school, they also had a hunting camp out there too. Been there, okay, a black hunting camp. So we have been there, we have done that, and I have experienced so many historical things that happened in Levy County. So it wasn't all bad, it wasn't good, but from point A to point B, we have made progress. And some of us have gone on to become doctors and lawyers and engineers, you name it. And there was also, I'm going to fast forward, as a result of the Rosewood Scholarship, there have been more than 300 students or descendants that have graduated with college degrees. The last, if I'm right, the last to graduate using the Rosewood Scholarship funds was, his name is, I can't remember, but anyway, he has a job with Morgan & Morgan as we speak, and he lives in Jacksonville. I just can't remember his name, but I'll get that to you if that's important. So other nice people are supporting people, or people that have given me information along the way have been, I think I called Tony Collins' name, Alice Walker. Alice Walker was a teacher in Archer. She never got married, but guess what? She was the sister to Sheriff Bob Walker. Okay? Phoebe Walker heard about me. Phoebe Walker is also a sister to Sheriff Bob Walker. She heard about me and the research I was doing. So one day I was sitting in the... Oh, by the way, they didn't stop me from going back to Brunson doing my research when they intimidated me. So I was sitting there one day, and this lady walked up to me and said, are you Miss Lizzie Jenkins? I said, yes, I am. She said, my name is Phoebe Walker. I'm from Orlando. Sheriff Bob Walker is my brother, and I heard that you were doing research on our family, and I'm here to share some of my family's history. Oh, my God. Thank you. And yes, she put me in touch with his daughter, with the sheriff's daughter, who put me in touch with her daughter. The sheriff's daughter was a principal in Atlanta, and her daughter was a teacher or principal in Houston, Texas. I got in touch with all of these people. And it just keeps the information and the history line just continue to build and open. And everybody I made contact with, they were willing to share their information because they were some of the good people, and they wanted people to know that they were not bad. They just wanted to be a part of history. One person told me, don't remember who, when I was doing the history, she said, oh, you're doing the Rosewood history. I said, yes, I am. She said, well, that's my history too. I said, okay, welcome aboard. And from one good experience led to another good experience. And that's why I enjoy telling this story. It is history, y'all. And I want y'all to help me. I want you to join me. I want you to become a part of. We together can make this better. We want to leave a positive, what? Environment for our children. And the only way we can do it, we are going to have to work together. And I'm going to back up now. When I first heard or started looking for Sheriff Walker, people in Levy County knew, but they would not tell me. And I kept beating the bushes. I wanted to know where he was buried. No one would tell me. But I did not discontinue my drive. So I got a call. I would get all kinds of calls, y'all. But they were all helpful. But sometimes they didn't want other people to know they were making contact with me. And I got a call, said, do you know Fred Davis? I said, no, I don't. That's the sheriff. That's the sheriff's nephew. The sheriff married his auntie. And his number is, he was living in Chiefland. So I called Fred Davis. And I told him who I was. He gave me the runaround a few days, but eventually he was messing with me. Eventually he helped me. He said, "Oh yeah." He said, "If you come and pick me up," he didn't have a car. He didn't drive a car. He had a stroke, and gave me his house address. I went there, picked him up. He said he's buried in Brunson, and he took me to Brunson and showed me Sheriff Bob Walker's headstone. When I got out of the car, he didn't know where the headstone was, and I didn't, and he could not walk because he had a stroke, so he pointed in the direction. I got out of my car, and I headed in that direction. When I saw Sheriff Bob Walker's headstone, guess what I did? I started crying. I said, oh my God, I found you. And there it was, and next to his headstone was the lady, the wife of him, his wife. The one that Fred had told me about. And that is history. And history just keeps and continue to build and just made me want to work even more. So I found him. And after I found his headstone, next to him was his son, Austin. I hope I got the name right. But anyway, Austin was a motorcycle cop. And Austin was killed on the motorcycle 3 or 4 days after the Rosewood Massacre. Okay? Now, what? Don't know why. I'm not going there. But he was killed. And recently, they put a monument at that cemetery in honor of the son. However, Sheriff Robert Bob Walker does not have a picture in Levy County Sheriff Department. And I would like to say to you all, please put his picture up. He earned it. Okay? We're bigger than that. He needs to have a picture recognizing that he is or was the sheriff if he didn't do everything that we or you thought he should have done. He needs that respect. That is my plea. Okay. Respect him for us, for the next generation. I didn't tell you about Margaret Cruz. Margaret Cruz lives in Briceville. Her uncles, William and Robert Bryce, were the train conductors. Had it not been for them and that train from Cedar Key to Rosewood and stopping in Briceville, everybody possibly would have been killed because, see, the key is a peninsula, one way in and one way out. And the only way out was via that early morning train with unsung heroes on that train that stopped. When it stopped in Rosewood, they exited the train to help the women, children, and men onto that train. So when you are to get out of Rosewood alive, when I tell this story, it's from my heart. I can feel it. I hope you can feel it. And I hope you understand that it is a celebrity story. It is a story that needs to be heard. It is not the story that you have heard about 400 or 500 people were killed. That's not true. I am continuously humbled, honored, and blessed to meet people daily and invite them to join in peace building, healing, and reconciliation through learning about the history of Rosewood. That will wrap up today's episode. I am Lizzie. Until next time, this is my Rosewood story, and I'm sticking to it, and I won't back down. Goodbye.